Hey, it's Chris from the Morning Mix. I'm here with Steve Andrews, who is the head of community relations for Pace Vanpool and VanGo. Yeah, not the art museum, but VanGo, which you guys should try to tap into VanGo. Have you considered that as like that's some free marketing?
We have actually.
Have you really?
Yeah, it certainly sounds appropriate for the program. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. This is awesome. So we have talked about Pace Vanpool on the Morning Mix here and there. And of course, we've heard it in advertisements and things like that. But if you had to boil down Pace Vanpool and explain it to folks who have heard about it, but maybe haven't experienced it yet, how would you describe the experience?
Sure. So Pace Vanpool, first of all, most people don't realize it's actually been around since the early 90s. So Pace has been administering Vanpool for decades.
Wow.
And it's a very popular program, well utilized, where Pace actually provides a van to a group of commuters for their use in their daily carpool. So it's an alternative to traditional public transportation. So although Pace is probably best known for the fixed route service that we have on the street, the big blue buses that our passengers see every day. We do offer a lot of other convenient and innovative alternatives like Vanpool. So what it comes down to is Pace actually provides the van to the group of commuters. These are usually commuters who live in the same communities, have similar work schedules and travel needs. They get together and form what is essentially a carpool, except it's better than that because Pace provides the van. We pay for the fuel, the maintenance, insurance, tolls, washes, roadside assistance. We even provide a guaranteed ride home in case of emergencies.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and it's very cost effective as well. So our passengers only pay a low monthly fare, just like you might pay a monthly bus pass to ride the bus. Our passengers pay a monthly Vanpool fare, which is much more affordable than operating or owning or driving their own vehicle.
So then someone in the group is driving the van with the group?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Absolutely. So one of the participants is actually the driver of the van. They're pre-approved to drive the van. So Pace, does a driver history check. We make sure that they are responsible, have a good driving record.
Yeah, you don't want a Pace van going like 90 down
right,
Ogden Heights Road. Like, what's going on?
Right. So we take safety seriously. So all of our Vanpool drivers are pre-approved. And so one of the participants actually drives, and there's benefits to that for the driver as well. So they actually are free. They don't have to pay that monthly fare. So our Vanpool drivers don't have to pay the monthly fare, while other riders in the van do. And they also get personal use of the vehicle up to a limit, of course. But, if they want to do their errands after work or go to the grocery store, that's certainly allowed. And
that's
so they get some personal use of the van as well.
Have you learned of any kind of like friendships that were born out of Pace Vanpool, or even relationships? Have people met and fallen in love and gotten married, and Pace Vanpool was the reason behind it?
I can't say that I know an example of that, but yeah, one of the biggest benefits are the connections that people make.
Yeah.
Some of our Vanpools have actually been in operation for many years, and consisting of the same group of people, and they do form friendships. They know each other very well, and not only do they not have to worry about driving to work and the stresses of driving to work, but while they're in the van with their friends and coworkers, they get to form those relationships, and that's pretty common actually.
Wow. So do you know, if you had to say a number off the top of your head, about how many Pace Vanpool groups are there in the area right now?
Well, we've actually had several hundred at times operating throughout northeastern Illinois. Obviously, with work patterns changing during the pandemic, some of those vans did pause for a time, but we adapted to that as well. So Pace, we pride ourselves on being flexible. So when we saw the need for commuters to have options when they were coming back to work after the pandemic, we were actually able to adapt that Vanpool program to try to fit their needs. So what we did is we actually introduced part-time Vanpools. So pre-pandemic, it was actually common for the vans to be only for full-time Monday through Friday use. Well, we adjusted that. So now we permit part-time Vanpools so those groups only come into the office a few days a week, can still participate. We also introduced part-time fares. So individuals, only riding a couple of days in the Vanpool, they can take advantage of those part-time fares, and they aren't subject to the full-time fares. And then lastly, we also came up with some innovative alternatives to the program. So we created a subgroup of Vanpools called VanGo.
Yeah.
And this is a newer program to really reserve a Vanpool as needed. So we saw a need for individuals to particularly for last mile service between, say, like train stations and CTA stations or Pace transit centers to work sites. And but they didn't need it every day. And we wanted to be able to accommodate their transit needs, which may not have been the traditional Monday through Friday commute. And we saw more of a need for this part-time use or this occasional use. So VanGo was born, and we put that out at select stations to pilot the program.
Wow.
And these users are able to actually reserve the van the day before for the next day's use. And it's parked right at the station. They get off their train, the van's waiting there for them. The reservation actually includes a code that they use to type into a keypad on the vehicle, so it's all done remotely. They can access the vehicle and the keys directly at the station, and then they could use the van to go to their work site. So
that's amazing. Do any companies utilize that? Like if I own a small company, let's say, and I'm a half a mile from a train station, could I work with VanGo to say, hey, I've got 8 employees that come in on the train every day, and I'd love to be able to get them from the station to the office and back again?
Absolutely. And that's our primary user are those employees at those small, medium, or even the larger size businesses who are looking for that last mile connection. We know that there's not always a traditional fixed route bus at every train or CTA station to make those last mile connections. And sometimes there isn't the demand to necessarily for Pace to deploy buses in all those situations. So VanGo plays a really important role. So it helps meet that demand and helps provide those alternatives for those users to get that last mile service. Those employees, getting between the train station and their offices, that's the most common use of the program.
So if I'm a member, just from a member's perspective, let's say Pace Vanpool, what happens if I'm in a group and the driver is sick that day? Our team captain, let's just call that, right?
Sure.
They're sick that day, or they're taking a vacation. Are there other people in our vehicle that are able to take over as a driver? Because I know you mentioned that the drivers have a background check and all sorts of things that go into becoming a driver.
Yes, so every van does have a backup driver.
Okay.
So backup drivers would fill in for exactly that type of situation. The primary driver is sick or on vacation. Backup drivers in the van, and everyone in the van could be a backup driver. It's not limited, and they could then fill in as needed. So we have a primary driver who usually handles most of the driving responsibilities day to day, but if they're not there, there are other participants in the van typically who can step up and drive for those days.
Are there any rules about eating in the van? Like if we have a group, we got to go through Dunkin', let's go. Is that okay? Do you guys frown upon that?
Sure. I mean, we do want the vehicles to be, kept clean and maintained nicely, but, having a cup of coffee in the car isn't gonna, we're not gonna cite you for something like that. So
what's the average distance for the Pace Vanpool that these groups are? We all kind of within 5 miles or less than that?
So it really depends. I mean, so we have different types of Vanpool programs. The traditional Vanpool programs are usually operating longer distances. So those are between a group's community and directly to the work site. So, or they can pick people up along the way as well. So those are typically longer commutes. Those are longer distance. But when it comes to our last mile Vanpools or our feeder Vanpools, those are more between metro stations and work sites or CTA stations and work sites. And those are typically, about a few miles.
Okay.
So it depends on the type. And again, the program is flexible. So we want to provide different options for people based on what their needs are. And we see both. We see both needs. So we're trying to accommodate it with the traditional Vanpool as well as our new VanGo program.
And this would include, you said Northeast Illinois, but suburbs to Chicago if people work downtown and then back out again.
Absolutely.
Okay,
so
great.
Pace's service area is actually all of Northeastern Illinois. So we cover the entire 6-county region in Northeastern Illinois. Large service area. And so we have Vanpools all throughout that service area. So any Pace user within that 6-county region is eligible to participate. Wow. And so we do see a lot of city to suburb and suburb to city commutes, but not just that, a lot of suburb to suburb as well.
Have you joined a Vanpool at all before just to see what the experience was like or do like a ride along?
Sure. I've gone through all the Vanpool training.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. So I've experienced what the startup process is like and what their day-to-day Vanpool operation is like. Absolutely. So that's important. We have our staff try to go through that experience so they understand what a Vanpool is like.
If somebody wanted to get started with Pace Vanpool, whether as a passenger or a driver, how would they begin that process?
Sure. I mean, the easiest thing is to contact us. We have a Pace Vanpool page at our website at pacebus.com.
Okay.
And all of our Vanpool information is right there. So it's centrally located. We have all of our application forms as well as driver requirements all listed right there on the website. But the first step is really to form your group. So you want to, at least for traditional van pools, have that conversation with your coworkers or your community about trying to identify individuals with similar travel needs as well as schedules, because that's really your first step, is trying to form your group, and Pace can help with that as well. So our Vanpool participants aren't on their own when it comes to finding their matches, right? So we have a convenient website called pacerideshare.com, which is a carpool and Vanpool matching website.
And is it like a swipe right, I like this person, swipe left, I don't type situation?
Well, it does match individuals with other individuals based on their commute. So
people probably have found love in Pace Vanpool. You just don't know it yet.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I bet you guys that's the next ad campaign. You have to find the people. We've been married 20 years and we met in Pace Vanpool. These are our 3 kids. It'd be great.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happening.
You can have the one for free.
All right.
Okay, but sorry, I interrupted you. So you go on and you sort of, maybe you're a solo person going, hey, I need a group. Can you find me a group? And you guys can help find a group for someone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole intent of pacerideshare.com, is to really help people facilitate those matches, help them find individuals who might even be their coworker, but they don't even realize their coworker is someone who lives in their community. And so it helps facilitate those matches. And we work closely with employers on helping administer that as well. So, we help employers learn about Pace Rideshare, learn how to, there's actually employer functions within the website that they can take advantage of. So there's a lot of work we do on the employer side as well. So from Pace's perspective, it's not just working with the Vanpool participants and trying to promote the program and educate Northeastern Illinois about Vanpool, but it's also about working directly with the employers and letting them know how much of a benefit this could be for their employees, and really working with them to promote all of Pace's family of services. So, not only do we have the bus routes that may serve these employment centers, but obviously not everyone is going to be able to utilize a fixed route. But we have all these other alternatives as well, like on-demand, like Vanpool, like VanGo. So working with employers to really tailor something, or at least communicate to their workforce how they can take advantage of alternative transportation is really one of our priorities.
And for VanGo, is signing up a similar process?
Yes. Okay. It's very similar.
Yeah. And is that grouped as well? I mean, generally, right? So I like the idea, if I live downtown and I do the reverse commute, so to speak. So let's say I took the Metro out through VanGo, then I would be able to maybe find a group and have a van at the train station for us. Would that be right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's great.
VanGo is open to groups as well.
Okay.
The difference with VanGo is it doesn't have to be a group.
Oh, you can be a solo
rider. You could. If you're a solo rider and you don't have anyone else signed up that day, you're still eligible to use the van. So that's really intended to be as flexible as possible to help people make those last mile connections. But groups are encouraged, and groups can utilize VanGo as well as Vanpool. So, we find if VanGo is really intended for the occasional as needed commuter for last mile. But if we find groups that really need it every day or regularly, we can just transition to them into a regular Vanpool.
Yeah.
So that's an option as well.
Can VanGo be used for errands or things like that? If I need to get from the train station to a grocery store or some kind of other small business of some sort and then back again?
Yeah, so VanGo, I mean, our Vanpools can be used for errands.
Yeah,
so,
okay, great. It's not just for commuting, I guess, is my general.
So the primary use is that last mile connection to the workplace.
Yeah.
But those users, they're not restricted from using it during those hours, to go to lunch or go to the grocery store or to run errands. So, it's not strictly for just going from the train to the workplace. They could use it for other uses in between or to go out to lunch. So there's other opportunities for them to use it.
Are there misconceptions about Pace Vanpool, Pace VanGo, or just Pace in general that you feel you run into often?
So one of the misconceptions about Pace is the size of our agency. Because we're the Suburban Bus agency in Northeastern Illinois, we're often thought of as a smaller suburban transit agency, when in fact we're one of the largest suburban public transit agencies in the country. We operate over the 6-county region, over 700 fixed route buses in our fleet. 10 operating divisions. So we have a large operation. We cover a large service area, about 15 times the size of the city of Chicago. So I think that's a common misconception, the size of our agency.
Yeah.
We provide a lot of different types of services and throughout the entire region.
Yeah. So do you have any kind of data in regards to what folks can save? Because I think, the few things that we're constantly thinking about are obviously money, finances, but also time, because you're not going to get that back. So my perception from what you're saying about Pace Vanpool and VanGo is you could save a lot of money by participating in these. And then also, obviously, there's less vehicles on the road, so there's less pollution, and there's all those wonderful things that are happening as well.
Absolutely. So, Vanpool is an alternative public transportation program. So it is environmentally friendly. It is taking cars off the road. When you put 5 people in a Vanpool, those are individuals who aren't driving their own personal vehicles if they have them. It also leads to a lot of cost savings. So again, in Vanpool, Pace provides the van. We pay for the fuel, the maintenance, the insurance, the tolls, the washes, roadside assistance. We're covering all of those expenses, all for the cost of a low monthly fare. And when people don't have to drive their own personal vehicles, they're also saving a lot in other ways. They have the potential for their car insurance to be reduced because they're using their personal car less, less wear and tear on their personal vehicles. They have the opportunity to save over $1,000 a month by using Pace Vanpool. Wow. American Public Transportation Association has figures about vanpooling compared to driving personal vehicles, and the savings is enormous.
So what does it cost to be a member of Vanpool?
So the fare is actually based on, our traditional Vanpool fare is actually based on the round trip mileage of the commute and the number of people in the van.
Oh, great. So more people, less per person.
Exactly.
That's great. So that would encourage you to get a bigger group. Yeah,
right.
Love that.
More people, it costs less if you have more people in your van. Also, the shorter, it's based on distance as well. So the longer the commute, the larger the fare would be. But ultimately, each fare is generally very affordable, especially when compared to even traditional public transportation. It's comparable to having a monthly bus pass.
And then you encourage everybody in the Pace Vanpool to have on 101.9 The Mix, I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's actually the only station that the vans come with.
The vans work, but that makes perfect sense. You can't get anything but 101.9. I have to imagine, when I think about this, it sounds really fun, sincerely. I'm like, oh, this would be really nice. You get along with everybody, meet new people, have fun in the car. It's like a little road trip every morning and afternoon. Like, why not? It'd be nice.
Yeah, and you save a lot. You could do other things. I know one of the participants is driving,
right,
and they get benefits to do so. But the other users in the car, they can read, they could work, they could do other things that they otherwise might not have time to do.
Yeah, they can eat cleanly.
Right,
not making a mess. Well, thank you so much. This has been really awesome and informative. Are there any things that we didn't cover today that you feel people should know and understand about Pace Vanpool and VanGo?
Of course. So, first of all, I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
No, it's great.
And, Pace VanGo and Pace Vanpool are longstanding programs in Pace's family of services, and they're here for you if you want to utilize them. They're very flexible and affordable. If you're interested, please visit pacebus.com to find out more information about the Pace Vanpool program. And then in addition to that, I just wanted to mention our Pace Revision program. So this is actually a network revitalization initiative by Pace. So it's an opportunity for Pace to really rethink our network of services across northeastern Illinois.
Oh, wow.
We're going to reimagine where and how often Pace bus routes run, and what types of transit services are appropriate in different areas of the Chicago region, and ultimately develop a proposal to reimagine our Pace bus and on-demand services. And that'll eventually lead to service changes throughout the region to reflect the current needs of our riders. And Pace VanGo and Pace Vanpool and Pace On Demand, those all play a role in that larger network and that larger initiative. So these are all pieced together in a way that creates a strong network, and Vanpool is a part of that.
It's really cool. I appreciate the way you've spoken about Pace throughout, and it's always about the rider first, what do the riders need, or we're providing this for riders so that they can. I think that's really awesome and exciting to hear. And the idea that you're going to go and sort of do a deep dive on what more can we do for the riders is exciting to hear. That's really great.
Of course. And, this year Pace actually celebrates its 40th anniversary. And we're very proud of that. And we've come a long way over our 40-year existence. And that's all due to our riders and, and all the help we've gotten, that it's enabled us to really grow our system to meet the needs of our riders. And we're going to be celebrating this year our 40th anniversary in various ways. And one of those is to, really be out at our transit centers and on board our buses, showing our appreciation to our riders for utilizing Pace, for utilizing public transportation. And we want them to know how much we appreciate them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate the time. Be sure you check out Pace Vanpool and Pace VanGo, and make sure you sign up and join a group, and make sure that they're listening to the mix while you're in there.